Hey, what's up? It's been quite a while. Just want to apologize for the long delay. I was arrested and in jail for tax evasion. Long story. Anyways, it's been quite some time since the FNAF Into the Pit game was released. I could finally talk about it without all the hype clouding my thoughts. Somehow, this game took the concept of the original while elevating it to an experience that could almost be described as perfect. When I try talking about any FNAF fan game or just any game in general, I typically try to follow a very simple formula to describe how much I enjoy those, with those being the graphics, story, audio design, fear factor, and most importantly, to me at least, the gameplay. Most of the time though, certain games will just excel in one area while slacking off in another. However, this is a story of how Mega Cat Studios somehow created the perfect Five Nights at Freddy's game while breaking all expectations. When entering a new game, we get started off with the cutscene, which shows exactly what this game absolutely excels at, which is the pixel art animation. I don't really know how to put it into words, but the first time playing this game, it felt almost nostalgic. The art style was both unique but familiar enough to give us that feeling like I was going back in time to play some of my favorite childhood games, like Yumi Nikki and Earthbound. To actually start talking about the story, we follow the life of a kid named Oswald. We start driving with our dad to a place called Jeff's. You could think of it as some sort of small mom and pop shop that sells cheap pizza. It's not long until we find out that our dad kind of just leaves us here at this restaurant for hours while he goes to work to try to provide for us. It's not just our father, but apparently a thing that's been happening with the whole area, as entire stores are closing down with people leaving this small town entirely for a new life. It kind of hits hard that even in this fictional universe, the everyday financial struggles of a parent who wants his best for a kid is still real. Truly allowing the player to relate not only to the character we play as, but also the other people in this world. Either that, this is a convenient plot point to stick a kid in a pizzeria for hours. Deep way to connect or easy plot, one of those you could pick. It's here where we make a bet to see if there's this possum on the side of the road that apparently has been there for a while. It's when it just pops up on the screen suddenly that it shocks you, decaying and obviously right over. I love how the FNAF series portrays certain deaths, as it'll always be iconic to me, especially the way the end screen looks in the first game when you get jump scared and your body's stuffed in a suit. Was really good when you saw it for the first time, and all the other darker moments in the FNAF series really made it shine. That's why I love this way that they set the tone for the rest of the game. As we are dropped off at Jeff's Pizza, we get one last piece of information from our father who says, when his son is gone, how he regrets that he can't make his son happy and afford to feed him more than just pizza. This is simple but effective character dialogue that will be important to remember, knowing that our father really does truly care for us, even if something may happen to him later on. Other than this being a depressing scene for Oswald as he's eating all alone waiting for his dad to come back right next to a happy family, he overhears how there was a secret ball pit that used to be open. Curiosity gets the better of him as he starts to wander around to try to find it. Once again, I won't stop raving about the small animation details, so sorry about that ahead of time. The little quirks of the animation really show the character's personality, as Oswald's an anxious kid. It feels like he is one and not just a blank vessel for us to control, with this becoming a lot more apparent later on. With us exploring this pizzeria, there's a couple of things to note. A lot of the locations currently are locked, and it wouldn't be a FNAF game if there weren't secrets to find, as well as multiple endings and lots of extras, yada yada yada. I'll be first talking about the main game and its first possible few endings, and then later on talking about the secret endings with all of its requirements, and trust me, there's gonna be a lot of requirements. Some more frustrating than others, since it's genuinely a lot and really confusing at times. Once we make it back to the closet next to the stage in the back, we notice an actual ball pit that suspiciously has "do not use." Of course, we're just a kid who's never learned how to read, so we dive in. What? Yeah, I was confused too when I first played this on stream and saw this happen to me. So without spoiling too much, this ball pit seems to be a link between time. Back when Jeff's used to be a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, out of all the many different animations within this game, I just have to say Bonnie's on stage has to be one of my favorites. I mean, just look at him going crazy with it. The normally dead Jeff's Pizza looks a lot more alive, which is when we get to talk to two of our newest friends, Chip and Mike. They only confirm our suspicions since a lot of the quote-unquote old things we know are actually super new in this universe, or during this time. Nothing bad's probably going to happen as a very subtle creature in the back opens and closes a door. Somehow, no one in this entire place sees it, but okay. This is probably one of my favorite sections playing it for the first time and getting to explore all the different areas, which was only amplified by the fact of how quickly things seem to change. I want you to really remember all the bright colors and the vibrant happy emotion that the scene just leaks out. Back at the story at hand though, we meet up with the guys again who show us that we could actually play these games as well as teaching us a tutorial of how to. Of course, these games are completely useless since everyone knows that the FNAF series would never try to hide any kind of secrets inside these minigames using complicated methods, because that would be stupid and ridiculously time-consuming for the average player, right? Right? Trust me, you'll understand the frustration later on. One of the best parts of any game is how you are taught certain mechanics, especially if you are shown how to do something, not told. A really great example of this is the isolation principle, which is a real thing that a lot of really good games do in order to teach you something. How it works is you're put in a scenario that is usually pretty isolated from the rest of the game, so you can practice something, usually without the fear of any consequences or any punishment. This is done 10 times better when you can actually integrate it into the story without making it really seem like a tutorial. The best example I could really think about on the top of my head is Dishonored when you're playing hide and seek with Emily. In game, you're just playing quickly with her, but you're also learning the stealth mechanics as well unknowingly, which is exactly how smoothly the FNAF Into the Pit game tries to present this section as well. These are just kids being kids at what would be a Chuck E. Cheese in real life, playing tag to simulate any future possible chase sequences as well as the beautiful hide and seek one. There are quite a lot of places to hide in this game when things actually open up, but the first place we are forced to hide is inside of this empty Freddy suit. If you're a fan of the series previously, which is usually a lot of people who tried out this game, the idea of kids and animatronics are usually not a good match. Which made me enjoy this scene just that much more. While we are winning the hide and seek game, the lights suddenly go out. The sudden change in the atmosphere and tone of the game was astounding. The first time playing, I genuinely got shocked as I had my headphones blasting, as you do for most horror games. The panicked breathing of Oswald and a dead silence after was truly an amazing start to this game. That is, until we get launched into... The beautiful colors of the arcade and the happy cheers were quickly replaced with panic and fear. This is how animation can be used to show emotions. Oswald's idle pose has been changed to be this anxiety-ridden model as he's constantly looking all around him and never completely standing still. As we progress, we see groups of children screaming and running out of the restaurant. I know I said I was leaving all the other endings towards the end of the video, but this one's gonna be the exception, since all you have to do is literally leave the restaurant at any point. No joke, you can literally just walk away and get the "see ya dad" ending. Anyways, walking around the restaurant shows just how quickly things have gone bad and even the animatronics seem to be malfunctioning. I want you to focus on two things: the objective, which will change but guide us to what we need to do, and this meter in the corner that will rise and lower every so often. This is the noise meter, and the louder we are, the more attention we will bring to ourselves. This includes running and interacting with certain things. More on this later. To actually progress, we open the middle door to... Of course, we will blindly trust this creepy bunny creature, as the game puts it, in order to find our friends that we literally just met 5 minutes ago. quick time events, and a new hiding mechanic we were shown to. This is the bread and butter of this game, being able to hide and evade whatever is chasing us. This kind of took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that whenever the objective says to escape, it just means go back to the ball pit. When we do, we crawl into it only to find Jeff and our dad worried about us. After dragging our dad back into the ball pit, there's something obviously wrong with him. No one seems to notice except for us, which is what leads us to our very first night in this game. You thought this was gonna be just a story-based game without 5 nights? Nope. And I'm just gonna be honest here. I have never read the book that this was based on, but from what I could tell, because I won't lie, this has always been a little confusing to me. Please feel free to correct me in the comments, but the books seem to not be fully canon like one-to-one to the core FNAF games, but have things inside of them that are canon. So it's like certain elements from them can be used to explain things that could happen in the games, but the entire stories themselves are not canon? It's a little confusing to me, but what are you gonna do? I'm just stupid like that. I'm just going to admit it, but it's going to be much more apparent why soon, so don't worry. Our objective on the first night is to wander around our eerily quiet house in order to find a phone and call our mom. We see Springtrap, Daddy Trap? Inside, which leads us to another important mechanic, using sounds to lure things away from where we need to be. Once we do that, we need to manually input the number to call people, something that will be used to show a pretty cool Easter egg later on, and one that I think you'll all love. We of course need to also find mom's number since for some reason we don't have it memorized. Grab it, get to a safe spot, and type it in. We can't have anything be simple, so we need to make sure we get to the front door without getting caught. Like everyone else, our mom can't see what's wrong with dad, but to be fair, having your kid saying he's been kidnapped and replaced does seem kind of over the top. This is just going to be another example by why I'm stupider than a bag of bricks, by the way. So our objective is to simply leave the house, right? But it's worded as find a way to escape. That sounds intense, right? I'm just gonna put my thought process here, right? When I played through this game for the very first time on stream, I thought I had to use this loud ladder and carry it all the way down to the basement while evading Springtrap the entire time. It's so loud. Put the ladder. Put the ladder down. Hide. Then I would climb up using the ladder to escape through the window. The main issue with this is that I am stupid, an idiot, moronic. And this game works kind of like Hello Neighbor, where every night you just have to use a different method to escape. On the first night, you're expected to use the very first complicated method of walking through the damn front door, which is not locked or anything. You can just walk through it, but no one in my chat thought they should just tell me that, I guess, while I was struggling. Back to the ball pit, we hear a kid crying somewhere, who seems to be... Just saying right now, the voice acting in this game when it comes to screams and crying is really good. I'm a little suspicious of Mega Cat Studios currently. Now, the way to progress in this game is often going back and forth, usually grabbing something useful in our timeline and then bringing it back. We somehow need to find a way to free this crying child from this machine. Shout out to Jeff who gives us a flashlight to use, but we do need to remember to not only find the batteries for it, but they also aren't infinite. I failed to mention this, but we do have a map unlocked now, but most of these locations are pretty useless for now. Specifically since we aren't going for any secret endings currently and are just trying to get through the neutral ending for this first run. After doing a super cool quest of dumping the trash, we finally unlock our first real location with the key Jeff gives us. which is the basement. It is pitch black in here, and you'll be needing your flimsy flashlight to guide you through if you ever want to be able to see anything at all. Just be careful not to waste too much time since the batteries can be pretty rare in this game. Once you grab the screwdriver in there, we could finally go out and free the kid. I don't understand the logistics of this, but I'm not going to question it. Our ultimate objective is to find our real dad, and we'll use this chance to question it, but we're quickly interrupted before one quick nightmare sequence away, and we're quickly rushed off to school. I don't know why, but all the school sections really reminded me of that one game called Kindergarten. I don't know if it's the art style or what, but it made me laugh after realizing it. If you couldn't already tell, this game follows a very simple but memorable structure where there are 5 day sections where you can explore the various different locations, and then finally the 5 night sections where we usually need to focus in the pizzeria to look for clues for our dad. I'm not gonna go too in depth about what happens during the day unless it's important for the various endings, but there is one part where we see a group of the most generic looking bullies spitting the most generic bully lines I have ever read. I thought they were pretty funny, to be honest, especially with the repeating animation of this guy punching his hand over and over again. Everyone knows reading is for nerds and you deserve to get bullied for it. The only reason I'm bringing up this loser nerd here, Gabrielle, is because she has this grandfather who she helped clear junk for and found his old sketchbook. The neat drawings she mentioned seem to be elaborate designs of the animatronics and their functions, showing that her family might have been tied to the original FNAF location before it was shut down. Reading through the sketchbook can be pretty useful as it gives us information about the animatronics themselves. She even states that her grandfather used to be some kind of technician but didn't want to talk about it though. Interesting. As we get home for the day, Daddy Trap arrives at the same time, which leads us to the next night. Since we have this screwdriver, we could just open up our window in order to escape. The game realized that we loved seeing the beautiful decorations that were scattered around a little too much, so obviously we needed to go through a power outage. Thankfully, the fuse box is right next to the ball pit, which is where we get out from, so it really isn't that much of a problem. However, this leads to a problem that will be reoccurring as time progresses. Springtrap will use any opportunity to shut off the power whenever he can, so get used to running back and forth. There will be a solution to the movement soon, but for now, we'll have to make do. We hear another crying child, so we head towards it. Getting into the second hallway leads to this. Chica, our first actual animatronic that isn't Springtrap. If you were reading closely in the sketchbook, it did say Chica was making garbage nets for whatever reason. Hoarding food and eating pizza was always her gimmick. We need to find a way to distract Chica, and going back to Jeff's, we are way too broke to buy any pizza for ourselves, so obviously we do the next best thing. I want you to think to yourself, what exactly would you do to find it? Well, if you thought about using a rat trap to catch a rat near where we met Chica and use it as a distraction in Jeff's pizza so we can sneak into the back of the kitchen and steal some pizza for ourselves, then you were right. Congratulations! Poor Jeff is the only employee in this entire restaurant, and now he has to deal with a fake rat infestation that is probably going to ruin his already slow business even further. Is it worth it? Probably. Anyways, we use this pizza slice to lure the chicken so we can go into the room she was guarding and rescue the kid we heard. We find out that it's Mike, who runs straight to the exit. When we catch up to him, he tells us that we should run away with him, but we're too busy trying to find our dad. Not saying it was a good thing we got jump scared, but if you notice, the previously locked doors leading to the arcade are now open for the next night. That's something that future us have to worry about, since now we have to go to school to get bullied and hallucinate about a giant rabbit man robot who took over our dad's body. Imagine using that sentence to describe this scene to someone who has never heard about FNAF. Obviously, there's more stuff during the day, but in order to keep the video short, I'm skipping most of it. Getting to the night section, we find out that we have to be a lot quicker with hiding, or else you're going to have a bad time. Just kind of like, I like this, it's like a puzzle game. It's like every single, it's like, do you guys ever remember Hello Neighbor when that was blowing up? When that used to be like a popular game and actually good? Get out, go to chest. Flash, I need to look for another way. I don't care, go, get in there. No! But, countries in my school are a bit different. That's fair. Countries everywhere are like... I won't lie, I died an embarrassing amount of times during streams simply because I am a horrible person under pressure. The sounds of the screams and the crunching sound effects afterwards is quite disturbing, but a cool sequence to have after each attempt. It's probably even more embarrassing that it took me 3 whole nights to realize that, hey, the front door was always an option.
Solid into the pit. Wait, really? It was that simple?
Now, our objective was to explore the arcade that was previously opened up, but there's a problem. An endoskeleton of what appears to be Freddy is now blocking the way and it's too heavy for us to move. So using the sticky hand that we got during the day, it was a whole thing with the bully, don't worry about it too much. We could use it to grab the keys that were in the vents, but of course, things can be just so simple inside the arcade. We need to find a way to make him leave. But before we get to that, I do want to mention the vents, which kind of act like a fast travel point that let you go into certain rooms. They're not all connected, it's kind of like a two-way system, and as you unlock more areas, then the way you could travel also expands. This is such a needed feature since you have to constantly travel all around to get certain things, and I really do appreciate the developers for adding this feature to help with navigation. Like before, we could check the sketchbook to give us tips on how to lure out Bonnie, which in this case is with this guitar. Since obviously it's broken, because of course it is, we need to find a way to fix it up so we can let Bonnie do his thing jamming on his guitar. When in doubt, go to the mill to go dumpster diving and also meet one of our bullies who takes a flash photo of us. Using the guitar, we get to our favorite thing, QuickTime events and hiding, and Bonnie is angry. He hates anyone who touches his guitar without permission. Not even the vents can stay a safe place forever. Now that we actually have access to the arcade, we could rescue the kid who's being toyed with? While talking to him, we hear our father scream. I absolutely love the music box that Mr. Fredbear plays. It's such a good song. After we make it out, we have another day at school. It's day 4 and we're almost halfway done with the game. Not much happens during the day except for us getting bullied even more, and the fact that one of them is just called Witless Sidekick. I love this game. Pretty obvious that Oswald is absolutely losing it at this point. It's a day, but we're skipping school to go straight to the ball pit. Honestly, Ozzy makes a good point here. How many kids did they trap here? Enough to have a daily adventure, I guess, but damn. Following the sounds of the cries, we find he politely tells us no? There's not much for us to do here except go explore, which leads us back to our timeline where we could trade to get a firecracker. Father Trap finds us for some reason, possibly because the school called him for skipping classes, and we are swept to the 4th night. With the rope you find just by wandering around, you use it to climb out the window from your attic. Go back to where Freddy was to stun lock him with the firecrackers you traded in for, and now you should be able to get inside. The cool thing is, you can actually use the cameras inside the office much like you're probably used to, and I love how they added this to the game. I don't think there's much you could do with them to actually help your gameplay after this section, but you could see what the moving animatronics actually are on the map. I got so sucked into the nostalgia, I completely forgot we came here for the crying child in the corner who tells us to go back and check the cameras again. They're too scared to move, so we'll need to distract the creature so they can run away properly. I'm not too sure about if there's a lot of ways to distract them, but in my playthroughs, I just used the Freddy cutout in front of the arcade whose nose you could actually honk. Unfortunately, going back into the office shows that she's gone, and using the cameras tells us that she's been dragged into the kitchen area. More importantly, in the freezer that we had to find a way to open, as her cries can be heard throughout the hallways during this section. Luckily, we can find this comically large mallet to bust it open. After rescuing her, we escape, and Ozma tells us that this ends tomorrow, which I guess you could say we spent 5 nights at Freddy's. This is it. Our final night in this place. The ball pit door is locked for the very first time, so we grab the key from Jeff, but Springtrap is also found in the same restaurant. After escaping, our main objective is simple: find Dad. The true objective we had all game to try to find. This is going to be a bit, so please stick with me. We need to find a vent to get to the backstage area where we can find this pile and get the party room keycard. Going back, we'll find the last room that's been locked to us the entire time to find a girl we don't care about, but behind her is a vent leading us to him. He's been tied up, but after untying him down, Springtrap drags him out. The music is dark and intense. We spent so long looking for him just to have him taken away again. No, we're going to get him back, no matter what. As we wake her dad up, this is the Pit T party ending. Yes, there's a pun in there. It's the normal ending that most people will be getting, as you simply need to play through the game normally to get it. We could just end things off here, but there's so much still to talk about, and that includes the other endings, secrets, and just extra stuff in general. The easiest to probably compile will be the secret minigames, so let's start off with that. Did you think that these minigames would just be from the arcades? Nope. You see, if you spam the candy dialogue in the hallway, you will eventually get a text where it says, "Can you see them?" I don't actually know the amount of times you have to do it. I completely forgot. I just kept doing it with an auto clicker until eventually it worked. You'll then be transported into this minigame with a girl with green eyes going around picking up different icons. This goes on for a while until we pick up this thing. I actually don't know what it is, to be honest, but it looks like something to do with Funtime Freddy's hand. As she picks it up, she starts to cry. The second minigame is the easiest to do, as we just need our phone and typing in the number 555-5683 on the final night, and specifically on the final night. It looks like Circus Baby from Sister Location, and we're building people up with the title to grant her wish, with the last one being a blonde girl in a necklace. I realize this is a little out of order now, but I'll explain what the vouchers are afterwards. The final minigame is to spend 5 vouchers in the prize machine to get it, where we hear a kid walking really weirdly going around to pick up some balloons. Once we do, the number counter turns purple and we enter this room. Don't ask me what that means. This is a gameplay video. There's probably some really important lore with that. Maybe in the books that I didn't read, or maybe something else. I do not know yet. I will research it later. Talking about the different phone numbers, there's quite a bit that we could actually call, but I'm only going to be covering one, which is 777-4648. This was such a cool Easter egg. Thank you so much for telling me to call this number on stream. If you couldn't tell, it's William Afton getting spring locked, actually voice acted. I thought this was such a cool detail to add into the game, and I love that they did. Now, let's actually talk about the other endings that you could get within the game, with the next one needing us to do some collecting. These are called Dad's items, and they'll be scattered around the world on very specific nights. And let me state, they're going to have to get these items on very specific nights. So if you somehow miss one that needs to be on night 3 and you move on to night 4, there's no going back. You're going to have to restart from the very beginning. It is kind of annoying, I understand, but that's just how they made it. Every time you pick up one of Dad's items, you'll be able to click on it to watch a very small cutscene. They're pretty short, but also really wholesome at the same time. I do recommend watching all of them. Now, if you're done with all of this and just play through the rest of the game normally, a photo will spawn in the party room after we free that girl who was trapped. It's a photo of William Afton and Henry standing next to each other. Make sure that you pick up this picture. As we do everything the same as we did before, we also had to deal with Springtrap again. If you notice briefly, that photo that we picked up previously is dropped, which causes Springtrap to start glitching out after seeing it. This was such a cool ending to get, with the animation being really strong, especially with the bite on the arm. After everything, we did it. We actually did it this time. We saved our dad and made it out alive. We're going to make it home safely. Except, the after credits show up an extra cutscene of Jeff checking in on the ballroom. Springtrap is still alive. The ending is simply called Jeff with a question mark for that cutscene at the end. Now, it's time for everybody's favorite time waster, the super complicated but super necessary true ending that needs you to waste years of your life to get, since why would we ever add a save feature to get you what you wanted even if you messed up and would have to restart the entire game over multiple times. I'm just slightly annoyed by the method they have to get the true ending, but what do you actually have to do to get it? Well, first you have to play through the game normally, but also get all of the dad items plus the extra Afton photo. And we need to find all the arcane parts to repair them, play them, and beat them. If you thought the arcade machines were pre-made, nope. Their parts are scattered just like the dad items, and you will need to get them all, and you can't miss a single one, even if they're time restrained. After finding all of those items, you can go to the repair and play all of the arcade games. I won't be going over all of the actual games, but just know you do need to play all of them in order to unlock all the stickers in your sketchbook and a handheld console. So, after all of that, making sure you did all the minigames, did all the secret minigames that I mentioned previously, and got all of the dad items and the Afton photo, and played through the entire game again, we'll finally be able to get the true ending. What is different this time? Well, instead of the after credits showing Jeff getting attacked, it's us simply eating out as a family. I spent hours of my life that I'll never get back just to watch Pixels happily eat pizza. At least one of us is quite happy right now, Ozzy. at least one of us is quite happy. You know what? I wish the absolute worst for what you put me through, so let's intentionally lose this time. If we play through the game once again, we'll get to the part where we need to do a quick time event. This time, I'll just let Springtrap take me. We wake up on the stage and notice the animatronics seem to be saying hi to us. We start forgetting who we are as our eyes start to flash blue, probably to signify that we were probably either taken over or turned into an animatronic. So, with all of the endings out of the way, most of the secrets and hidden things mentioned, how do I feel about this game? The way I see it, it's a very fun game with a cool story if you want to play through it once or twice. I'll be talking about the negatives that I didn't really enjoy first before I talk about all the positives. Not every linear game has this issue, but its replayability has a lot of flaws, especially since you can't skip a lot of the longer cutscenes that just take up a lot of time. It felt amazing when I first played it, don't get me wrong. And even on my second playthrough, it felt even better since I was noticing a lot of hidden details that I missed before. However, I think the thing that was holding it back the most was the save feature, which was very annoying to deal with, especially when trying to figure out the secret ending. I just wanted to make sure things were correct, but if I messed up one thing or missed a day, then I would have to restart completely from the start, not just from another save file, which felt horrendous. And honestly, made me not want to even include the secret ending at times. However, I feel as though the positives far outshine the negatives. The graphics were absolutely beautiful. I didn't mention it that much while playing through the game, but the visuals felt so good. The backgrounds would have so much detail, and if you really looked around, there'd be a lot of mini Easter eggs like The Office. Just the small details that really expanded the world in general. Talking about Easter eggs, there were a lot within this game. Like how sometimes you'll hear the phone ringing, and if you pick up, you'll get the phone guy who's actually voice acted.
Hello? Hello? Hey, I know you are doing great. And the animatronics aren't really under your responsibility, but I need to tell you something just in case, alright? The characters like to move around at night when nobody's here. They like to roam around and be themselves. There isn't a concern for your safety here. Just one thing. Try not to let them see you walking or moving around. Then you might be in a bit of a pickle.
No one can ever replace the original, sadly. RIP OG phone guy. Talking about the voices, the sound design in this game were incredible. The music was tense at times and upbeat at others. The ambience really made you worried that something was going to jump scare you at any moment. Me personally, give me some Silent Hill type ambience to fall asleep to and you got an A+ in my music department. Not even just the music, but the sounds in general. The crunch sound from when we lost, the screaming that felt horrific, and the staticky breathing of the animatronics. It was absolutely stellar. I just wish we had more animated sections, but with the ones that we already had, they were beautifully crafted that I thoroughly enjoyed all the animation that this game had. To the animators who worked on this game, you deserve so much praise for the work you've done, and it was truly incredible the amount of work that has been put into this game by Mega Cat Studios, which is insane. I'll be honest, I never heard this company before FNAF Into the Pit was released, so I decided to see what kind of games they were known to release and my jaw dropped. We go from backyard soccer to the meeting to the echoes of the unread to bite the bullet. The only similar thing that was tying all these games together was the pixelated graphics, and that's just some of the games, as some others use much more cartoonish graphics for their style. There isn't only one coherent genre this company works towards, and seems to be just a bunch of passion projects with a variety of different styles. The only horror game that I could genuinely find that they helped develop is FNAF Into the Pit, which makes its success even more puzzling, to be honest. They have a lot of experience creating retro-style games, don't get me wrong, but going from that to horror seems so crazy to me. Genuinely looking at the track record starting from 2016 and seeing FNAF in the middle of a whole bunch of backyard sports games it's just funny. It's just funny to me. I don't know if they have any plans on continuing the FNAF series at all, especially just the books, but I do truly hope they develop more horror games in the future, since they seem to have a lot of potential in that department specifically. To break it down, This game could have been perfect, with just a few tweaks here and there, with the start being to rework the entire save feature. I understand saving at any time you want could ruin the potential horror aspects, which is why a lot of horror games put the manual saves in specific locations instead. They maybe could have done something like Oscar looking at the Golden Freddy plushie that was scattered around in very specific locations to save the game, like his bedroom or in the ball pit, just so you couldn't abuse the save system but would still be able to integrate it into the game. Me personally, I love stealth horror games, as the moment you could fight the creatures that you're being chased by, I feel like you lose a large portion of what makes the enemy scary. That's why personally I do love this mechanic in the FNAF Into the Pit game, though I do also understand how some people could find it a tad repetitive in their playthroughs, especially with the hiding minigames, since if an animatronic walks past you in any portion of the game, you'll play through these quicktime events. As the nights progress, these quicktime events get a lot faster and a lot trickier. I personally like them, since the various locations you could hide usually have a different feel to the quicktime event, but perhaps more variety could help players feel much more engaged. Also, a bit more unique jump scares, since I'm not going to lie, once you play the game once over, most of the horror does disappear because the most scary moments are all scripted jump scares. I do feel as though this game was designed to only be played once, so it's not that bad. And to be honest, the game is only $20 on Steam, and for that price, it's well worth it, and I do highly recommend you try it out yourself, since although I did have to explain a lot of the sections, to actually have the true experience, you're going to have to play it through yourself to truly feel how stressful some of these situations feel. Overall, do I feel like this game is perfect? No. But I do truly feel that this game is close with some glaring issues. I don't know much about the future of Mega Cat Studios and their involvement with the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, but like I said before, I do truly wish the best for their future, and I'm excited to see if they have any other future horror games coming out. And wow. It's been a long time since the last time I posted, and I did truly miss all of you, I'm not gonna lie. I missed reading the comments, I missed streaming, I missed just interacting with all of you individually. But thankfully, I do have at least 3 scripts coming out, and most of them are already done, so hopefully they'll all be out soon. And if you like this video, like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on something you liked about the game or something you didn't. There's always something you can comment down below. My next video is probably going to be out either next week or the week after, and it's about a tentacle monster. It's a surprise, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil too much about it. Anyways, I've been talking for so long, so I'm going to go take a nap. Until next time, my friends.